It's been a little bit more than a year since I've been doing car photography on a regular basis, going to cars and coffees and car shows and taking photos. So I thought it was a good time to make a video on what I've learned during this 1-year process of taking photos of cars. I have 5 tips to share for beginner car photographers or up-and-coming car photographers who want to get into this very specific field. I'm going to go over these very briefly because I actually wrote a blog, and if you guys want to learn more in detail about these 5 tips that I'm about to share, you can check that out in the link below. Okay, tip number 1, frame your subject. I'm not really talking about composition here, I'm more talking about planning on where you're going to actually use this photo and direct this photo to. Whether if it's Instagram, Facebook, website, and printing, these are all different types of sources that your photos are going to end up in. So plan out beforehand where you're going to use these photos for. Instagram is for portrait, and everything else is basically landscape format, so plan that. Tip number 2 is to widen your types of shots. This sort of plays in hand with the lenses that you have and you get. Wide angle, like a 24mm, you want it, that's meant to get basically everything, a lot of your background and your subject, in frame. Medium, like a 50mm, is very versatile. You could get both a little bit detailed shots and also a little bit of wide shots. So a 50mm is a very good starting out lens to get. Telephoto is for those, detailed shots of interior or exterior parts of the car. Let's say you want to take a photo of like a logo of like a Ferrari, like 458 Speciale logo inside, of the car, and you want to get that. You want to get a very good photo of just sort of showing that part of the car. A telephoto lens. It doesn't really have to be telephoto, like an 85mm or up. It works very well. Moving on to tip number 3 is to play with different apertures. Having a fast aperture, faster than 2.8, can actually get you very, very unique and very distinctive, and it turns out, and some shots that you shoot in those very fast apertures turn out great, but other shots, like detail shots, you want to get most of the subject in focus, so like a 5.6 or slower is the way to go when you're doing those kind of shots. So play with different apertures, having something in the foreground and the background, and shooting in a fast aperture, relatively will turn out better than shooting in just a very slow aperture where you get everything in focus. Number 4 is to notice the weather. Everyone lives differently, and wherever you are, it all depends, but typically during the middle of the day, that's when all the harsh sunlight comes in, and it's going to flatten everything, and typically it's not going to look as well. So you could play with reflections here and there if you want to really get creative and not really focus on much of the car, but more on the reflections. You could shoot in those times, but typically golden hour or whenever it's overcast, rains or snows is the prime time of shooting car photography. Really take advantage of those overcast, rain or snow days. Especially for me, I do not get rain or snow here in Southern California, so snow, I'm never going to get it here unless I go towards the mountains, but whenever it rains, I really try to force myself to go out and shoot, because it's very rare, and how it turns out is it's completely different than when I typically normally shoot on a sunny day. The last and final tip is actually an item for you guys to get, and it's probably the most important one actually for me, for any beginner car photographers out there, is to get a circular polarizer. Not many photographers actually get this because they're either doing like architectural, landscape. Some landscape photographers get it because they want to darken the blues, or like people who do portraiture or weddings, they don't get circular polarizers because they don't need it. But for car photographer, this is like the one field that you really, this is a necessity. It cuts out all the harsh reflections, and since cars are basically moving mirrors, you want it. You want that. You can actually play with circular polarizer. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, you could go Photoshop and mask the reflections out. And there's a lot of things you could do with the circular polarizer. It's all part of that creative process, but it's a necessity for car photography. So if you're a beginner and if you haven't gotten circular polarizer, or if you're planning to get a camera and a lens, get a circular polarizer. I'll leave some links of your budget circular polarizer and like the more expensive circular polarizer like I have now in the links below. I hope you guys enjoyed this very quick video on these 5 tips that I've learned over this 1 year period of doing car photography. If you guys did, leave a like, comment down below on what if you thought it was helpful, and what you guys, if there's any more specific questions you guys want to ask in this specific topic, leave it down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't to see more car videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.